Hi, I'm Dr. Jill Allor. In our last video, I introduced Friends on the Block to you by explaining that it is a comprehensive and intensive early literacy program designed and piloted by Southern Methodist University researchers and our partner teachers. It is easy to customize, so it can be used with beginning and struggling readers, particularly those with intensive needs, such as dyslexia, learning disabilities, and intellectual and developmental disabilities. If you haven't watched that video, I hope you will. In this video, I'll answer the question, what research supports Friends on the Block? We developed the program based on the best research available, but we also designed new cutting-edge features that make it special. Friends on the Block is consistent with the science of reading and structured literacy, some current terms being used now that describe the extensive research base on reading instruction. We apply the evidence-based recommendations from the What Works Clearinghouse Practice Guide you see here. This is the practice guide for teaching foundational skills to support reading for understanding for students in kindergarten through third grade. These are recommendations for all beginning readers. They were written by a panel of experts and include extensive documentation of research. They provide educators with support for implementing these recommendations. This guide is a great resource for what research tells us about how we should teach beginning reading to all students. We also follow principles of effective instruction that are heavily supported by research, especially for struggling readers and those with disabilities. We provide a couple of key citations here, but there are many others we could have listed. We apply these principles in special ways. We provide explicit instruction through modeling with many examples for students and support for teachers. We follow a systematic, carefully organized scope and sequence that times the presentation of multiple skills so they are easily integrated and applied in our student books. We incorporate a wide variety of scaffolds or supports within our books and in our lessons. These gradually fade as students no longer need these supports. A key feature of the program is its intensity, in that it provides ample practice opportunities for all students. There are plenty of student books, so they can practice new skills and build automaticity through cumulative review of common words and phonics patterns. Our flexible organization makes it easy for teachers to choose learning games to target specific skills for their students to practice. The lessons provide detailed support for teachers about how to provide immediate corrective feedback during all parts of the lesson. Finally, we include quick and simple assessments to help you see how your students are doing, so you can decide when to move to the next level and which games would be the best practice for your students. The program is also aligned with other assessments developed through research that are commonly used in schools today. At SMU, we've conducted research since about 2005 that examines whether scientifically based reading instruction is effective for students with very intensive needs. In other words, are all of the things I just described, the recommendations from the What Works Clearinghouse Practice Guide, and the practices I just outlined, are these techniques also effective for students with very intensive needs, such as those with intellectual and developmental disabilities? The answer to that question is definitely yes. This type of instruction is definitely effective for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. But progress was relatively slow, and the instruction needed to be very intensive and highly individualized or customized to meet their needs. After we conducted that longitudinal study, we used what we had learned about those students and their challenges to design Friends on the Block. The development of Friends on the Block was funded with a federal research grant. These are 2 citations of articles that describe the work of that development grant and our initial research studies. You can also see the information about this on our website at friendsontheblock.com. We're very excited to tell you that research on Friends on the Block is continuing. We've received another federal research grant, and we're studying further the effectiveness of the program on a large scale through a randomized control trial. Our specific research question is, do students who participate in Friends on the Block demonstrate greater reading and language outcomes as compared to students who participate in business as usual instruction? We want to learn how participation in Friends on the Block benefits these students on a wide range of literacy and language assessments. If you are interested in learning more about research related to Friends on the Block, please visit our website. You'll see information there about the students who participated in our research, as well as citations for articles and other descriptions of our research. If you have questions about how you think our program would work with your students, please reach out to us. In this video, I described scientific research that we use to develop Friends on the Block and the research studies we have already conducted on the program. I mentioned that Friends on the Block has some new cutting-edge special features. I described those in the next videos.